I'm going to change my life in 1,000 days. Day 1 of 1,000. Today I woke up at 6 in the morning. Curiously, I didn't ignore the alarm like I usually used to. As soon as I noticed it, I jumped up, grabbed the camera, and recorded the time. I felt excited and nervous about how the recording would start and how it would turn out. I also noticed that some people were still celebrating New Year's Eve, which is very common in Colombia. About 20 meters from my house, there's a nightclub owned by one of my uncles, so the music and the noise from people celebrating were impossible to ignore. Since this was my first day documenting my life, I didn't really know how to do it. I didn't know what to record and what not to record. After making my bed, I went to look for some clothes. But because I haven't taken the time to buy and organize proper work clothes, I had to wear a pair of pants that my father usually uses for work. Because of that, I decided I would start a Word document where I'd write down the problems I need to solve, whether they're small things or important ones, like not having proper clothes to work in. After getting ready, I left the house to prepare everything I would need for my workday. That day, I had to clear weeds in one of my father's coffee fields. I took my father's brush cutter and changed the blade for one that was already sharpened, since I had been doing the same work the day before. Then I got some fuel and poured it into the tank. After that, I turned the machine on for a few minutes because it's good to let these machines run briefly before using them. A little later, my mother called me to eat. We used to eat with my father around 9 or 10 in the morning, but about 2 months ago, we got into the habit of eating at 7 a.m., which actually helps with work performance. After eating, I prepared more fuel that my father had mixed, grabbed some water, took my tools, and headed to the place where I would work. At the time, I didn't really think about it, but after watching the footage later, I realized how beautiful that morning was, and how lucky I was to be alive one more day. The sky was as blue as the ocean. The wind filled my lungs once again, and the sound of birds flooded the morning. Like I said before, I didn't notice it in the moment. But now, writing this, I realize how fortunate I was to have one more day of life. I had never seen it that way before. Documenting a single day of my life made me reflect on how lucky I am just to be here. Maybe starting to document my life wasn't such a bad idea after all. When I arrived at my worksite, I left my things under the shade of a coffee tree and turned the brush cutter on again to start working. Nothing particularly new happened during the first hours. Everything went on normally, while my mind wandered through dozens of thoughts. I thought about my debts, about the person I want to become, and about the things I want to achieve. I wondered whether this project would be a success or a failure. I thought about how I could make it something memorable, something that stands out. I used to make content for social media before, so I have some experience with content creation. But in the end, I think all of those thoughts were just a way to make time pass faster. My workday ended exactly at 3:31 p.m. after finishing a section I had set out to complete. I gathered my things and started walking back home. During that walk, I thought about the phrase David Goggins has tattooed on the back of his neck. Goggins isn't someone with many tattoos, and for a long time I wondered what that tattoo said. Since I deeply admire him for the kind of man he is and what he's achieved, I assumed it had to be something powerful, something worth tattooing in Chinese. One day, out of curiosity, I looked it up, and surprisingly it meant, "Don't show weakness." At first, it sounded cliché to me, but today, more than ever, I understood its meaning. I was exhausted. My feet hurt, my back hurt, and my arms hurt. And in that moment, I remembered Goggins and everything he had overcome. His abusive childhood, poverty, racism at school, and so many other things that still amaze me. While reflecting, I realized that to become an exceptional person, I couldn't afford to show weakness. When I got home, I put away my tools and took off my clothes. They were extremely dirty from the work, and my body felt even worse. I stopped recording because I was exhausted. I needed to clean my hands and take a shower. But before showering, I did something important. I deleted every video I had stored on my 2 laptops, along with all the browsing history associated with them. I deleted everything. It would have been a good idea to record that moment, but I don't have a tripod yet, and honestly, I felt embarrassed. I decided to try quitting this addiction again, but while deleting those files, images from those videos came back to my mind unconsciously. I remembered the pleasure and then the frustration that always came afterward. I've been carrying this addiction for a damn decade. In that moment, I remembered that I had done this before. I had deleted everything, promised myself I would change, promised I'd become a better person. But every time, I ended up downloading it all again because I couldn't handle the anxiety, or for whatever reason. I asked myself honestly, do you really think this time will be different? Do you really believe you can defeat lust and this time, after failing dozens of times? That thought filled me with frustration, because as harsh as it was, it felt true. After that, I finally took a shower, got dressed, and started organizing the Metamorphosis project. I began working on a first script, an introductory one that would explain why I'm doing a project like this. I drifted a lot while writing. I'm a perfectionist, and I always want things to be perfect. But eventually, I accepted something. If I want this project to be honest, then it has to include mistakes and imperfections. I don't know if that's objectively true, but I believe honesty goes hand in hand with imperfection. To be honest in this project, I don't need perfect order. I just need to write what I think and feel in the moment, without fear of failing or of how good or bad it sounds. So I started a rough draft of what will become the first video of this project. I didn't have a clear idea yet. I felt frustrated, not knowing exactly what to do or how to do it. I decided I'd finish the introductory script on January 3rd or 4th, 2026, a Saturday or Sunday, when I'd have more time to think and develop it properly. My day ended around 9:30 p.m. when I went to sleep. To close this day, I'll say this. Despite the setbacks, the exhaustion, the frustration, and everything that went wrong, I'm grateful for the disorder, my personal problems, my addictions, and everything negative tied to who I am right now. Because all of that gives me a starting point. I wanted to organize this project much better. I wanted to start back in early December, but work and unexpected things got in the way. Now, I'm grateful for that, because you, watching this, can see exactly where I started. And I don't know what will happen. But if everything goes well, and if I receive some support, maybe one day, 30 days from now, or 100, or 1,000, I'll watch this video again and remember where I began. With mistakes, with failures, with chaos, and with a starting point. This is where I'm starting from. Not disciplined, not confident, not where I want to be, but this is day one. I'll be back tomorrow.